Hello, hello. Okay, cool. These scopes are getting later and later and later, but I am still hitting the challenge. Why? Because I committed to doing a daily scope for 14 days, so I am going to do it. If you don't already know, my name is Natisha Willis. I am your freedom friend, connection coach, and networking strategist, and I help entrepreneurs like you get connected more closely with your clients in your local community. Hey, Marie. So I'm doing this late as I'll get out scope because I committed to doing these daily scopes, and I promise you I am holding fast to my commitment. So today has been a very interesting day. This weekend really has been really interesting. I'm not going to be on long because what up, boo? I'm not going to be on long because I really need to go to sleep. I'm tired, but I said I am not going to bed until I got this scope done. So this has been a great week. I went to the Heal a Woman, Heal a Nation conference this weekend. I hooked up with some really cool people. Some really cool and awesome women. And it was a very interesting space. I because I'm a talker, right? And I connect with people. That's what I do. And I do it quite naturally. I build connections. And so that's what I help other people to do. So, of course, I do it. And a question came across, why aren't you on the stage? And it made me pause for a moment. Um, and it really made me begin to think, why am I not on the stage? And I could have come up with a whole number of excuses, but what I recognized was in certain situations and in certain environments, we are not coachable. And what does that mean? That means that sometimes, um, as a freedom friend, hell, as an individual, sometimes we are in a space where we do not want to adapt to a new way. We don't want to submit ourselves to another person's leadership. Um, and I recognize that was my truth. In certain instances, I just am not willing to be coached. And I had this conversation actually with a couple of people this weekend. Am I coach? Am I not coachable? And shout out to Sierra because she helped me to realize that it's not that I'm not coachable necessarily, it's that I'm not necessarily willing to be coached by everyone. And you know what I realized? That's okay. Um, everyone and everything is not for everybody. And to be coachable is really, willing to be in a partnership with someone. So let me use the ICF, the International Coach Federation definition of coaching, right? It's really this idea of a partnership between the coach and the client where we work together and really walk along this journey. And together we share insights, and the goal of, you know, the role of the coach is to help the client to really come to their own conclusions, to ask those, questions that will hopefully help them see things in a different way, in a different light. And so I recognize that in a whole lot of areas, I've been the student for a long time. When it comes to marketing, when it comes to branding, when it comes to social media, building up a personal brand, when it comes to networking, when it comes to connecting with people, when it comes to getting active in my local community, when it comes to volunteering, when it comes to putting on events, when it comes to, hell, coaching. I've been a student a lot. And what I'm realizing is because I've been the student in so many different spaces, I've number one, I've begun to see how different coaches and how different leaders act in certain situations, scenarios, and environments. That's number one. Number two, I realized that I've created in my mind my own ideas of how I would like to do things, how I want to work with my own clients, how I want to work with my own mastermind, how I want to create my own programs and courses, and all of these things. And because of that, I'm beginning to see that when I look, or when I am spending too much time in the student seat, I'm recognizing that it's now time for me to be the teacher. Isn't that something? When you spend so much time watching others, you begin to critique and assess and analyze the people who are on stage. And what I'm realizing is that when when you've sat in the audience so long, and we as women, as service providers, especially those of us in the personal development, health and wellness, the life coaching, the health coaching, the wellness coaches, when we have sat in the seats for so long, we get to a place where we begin to critique the people on the stage. And you know what that means? That means it's time for us to be on the stage. When you get to a place, I'm going to relate that to not being coachable. When you get to a place where you no longer want to hear anyone's suggestions, or you no longer want to take anyone's advice, that's how you know it's time for you to begin creating and building your own platform. Begin creating and building your own audience. Because the truth of the matter is, as the old folks say, 9 times out of 10, you've just outgrown your britches. Or like my mom used to say, you get beside yourself. And, there's really nothing wrong with that. It takes a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness to really get to the place where you can acknowledge and say, you know what? I'm being a little bit too critical. And maybe it's time for me to do my own thing instead of trying to sit and submit myself to people who I feel like we're on the same level. And so that's really what I bumped up against this weekend. It was so interesting because that was not my intent at all. So I ask you, are you coachable? Are you willing to take advice? Are you willing and ready to listen to someone who may have a little bit more information than you have? And if you aren't, are you willing to go ahead and begin building your own platform? To begin putting into action all of those things that you've been learning about, all this time that you've been sitting in the student seat. Now are you ready to begin teaching? That's my question to you. If you are, I would love to partner with you. Because I work with leaders. I work with mostly women who are awesome and about their shit when it comes to life, health, and wellness coaching. Those of you who are passionate about making a difference in your local community, who really just need someone to bounce ideas off of, to hold you accountable. The person who knows and who's going to call you on your shit. Because sometimes I'm pretty sure that we're pretty similar, right? And sometimes we find ourselves around people who we can BS, who may know a little bit less than us in a certain area. And so we could pretend that we're doing things. We can look busy while not taking care of business. And so if that's you, I invite you, hop on a strategy call with me. Totally free of charge. All you have to do is email me at natishawillis.com, and we can go ahead and get that scheduled for you. That's NATISHA at NATISHAWILLIS.com. And I would love to take just a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes max, to help you go ahead and plan out the next steps for your strategy, because we are well into Q2. So that's it. That's all. I'm not going to hold you long. Like I said, I need to get ready and go to sleep. But I wanted to hop on because I really had this question for you. I would love to hear from you. Definitely shoot me that email, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great night. Peace.